Vault Hunters, Kairos is calling, and with 4 new characters to choose from, an open world format, and more loot than you could ever imagine, it can get a bit overwhelming. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and this is how to have the perfect start in Borderlands 4. So here's the deal. Borderlands 4, being an open world game, creates a lot of new opportunities for players. We think the format works really well, but if there's one thing we know about open world games, it's that they can be absolutely loaded with distractions, and let me tell you, Borderlands 4 might be the worst culprit we've seen in a long time. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's a purpose for everything in the game world, but there's a lot of it, and that can be overwhelming for new players or those not as familiar with open world games. Borderlands 4 starts with you choosing a Vault Hunter, and if you want to know more about each of those characters, I recommend you check out our Ultimate Vault Hunter guide, because our team beat the game on every character, and we go into excruciating details about their playstyle, skills, traits, and much more, aimed at new players. Once you make your choice and beat the tutorial mission, you'll wash up on the shores of Kairos. From this point on, there's nothing preventing you from running across the map and exploring almost every corner of the world. But I wouldn't do that. The first thing you'll want to do is follow the main story quest until you reach the Outbounders, the first faction you meet in the game, located here at the launch pad. Getting through the intro part of this quest will unlock your Digirunner, your vehicle. This lets you traverse the world much faster than you would be able to on foot, and since you can summon it from almost anywhere, a departure from the catch-a-ride system in previous games, it's a really handy tool to have unlocked before you start exploring. From this point on, your options start to open up, but there's something important I want to say. As you complete quests and rake in rewards, keep in mind that the loot level locks as soon as you complete that quest. Borderlands 4 features a reward system, and you physically have to go into the menus and claim your quest rewards, which isn't exactly intuitive. That means if you spend all your time early on doing side missions, then all of those rewards, well, they'll be low level. It's not the end of the world because you can replay most side missions, but our team preferred to take the opposite approach, following the main story quest until we beat the game and then went back to complete our side quests in hopes of good drops. Side quests are good for 3 reasons. First and chief among them is that they reward a ton of experience. This is one of the better ways to level up in conjunction with contracts outside of doing the main story quest, and you will need to do a couple along the way to stay on the power curve of the story content. Second, they reward potentially incredible gear. Quest lines like Vend of the Line, which we break down on our official TikTok channel, have a guaranteed legendary drop as a reward. Finally, they reward cosmetics, which might not be everyone's thing, but there's a load of cool options across a number of categories, and completing side quests is one of the ways to unlock them. Bottom line, you have a choice to make, and to be frank, there's no real benefit doing these side quests early on outside of some extra experience, so we recommend you push through the main story, which will open up the entire world, and then come back and clean up the side quests after you beat the Timekeeper. Within the first hour of the game, you'll fight your first Borderlands 4 boss, Splash Zone. Now he's nothing to really talk about, but once you defeat him, you'll be introduced to a new system, Moxxi's Big Encore. Pay attention, because this is quite possibly the most important thing about this game. Once killed, you can pay a bit of money and activate the terminal, which respawns the boss, allowing you to kill them again and again. This matters for one simple reason: legendary farming. As far as we know, every boss in Borderlands 4 drops a unique legendary item, sometimes more than one. This is in line with most of the recent Borderlands games, so we have no reason to believe it's not the case. What's great is that once you kill a boss the first time, you can then immediately start farming that boss using the Moxxi system, and that means access to legendary weapons that could potentially transform your progression. There's no harm in taking 30 minutes or an hour farming some of these bosses, and once people know what each boss drops, it'll get even easier to target ones that are relevant to you, fitting seamlessly into your build. A couple things to keep in mind. You can increase the difficulty of the game before activating an Encore, which does increase the chance for rarer loot. This gets even better once you unlock Ultimate Vault Hunter ranks after the main campaign. After killing most of these bosses, you'll also have access to a weapons chest. This respawns every time you activate an Encore, further increasing your chance of getting legendary gear. Finally, this is one of the best ways to farm for loot and turn a quick profit. Bosses drop a ton of gear, and with the ability to quickly respawn and kill them, you'll be rolling in money faster than you can imagine, offsetting the entire cost of the Encore in the process. Keep in mind that once you beat the main story, you'll also have access to Moxxi's Big Encore, which is a more challenging version of one specific fight in the world, but it rewards even better loot and is on a weekly timer. An open world game means loads of optional side content, and Borderlands 4 features about as many points of interest and collectibles as I have seen in a very long time. You should know they're not all created equal, and you'll want to get familiar with some of the more high-profile options. The two I immediately want to call out are the various safe houses and order silos. Once complete, both act as fast travel points, and this is really important because they often occupy an area of the map between the major towns and cities, allowing you to travel closer to your destination without the need for long digirun treks. Safe houses are great because they also unlock a set of contracts. Contracts are small, easy quests that reward a lot of XP and are always relevant to that area, so if you're doing the main story quest and have a couple contracts active, you'll most likely be doing two things in parallel, which is awesomely efficient. Order silos provide a different purpose. Once activated, they'll mark an area of your map where you can find a vault fragment. You need 3 of these within a zone, and once you do that, you'll be able to locate the area's vault. This isn't something you'd necessarily want to do at lower levels because while the loot is great, you're going to outlevel it very quickly, which is why it's really more of an endgame activity. There are also 4 other activities worth mentioning, and for 2 clear reasons. Ancient crawlers, abandoned auger mines, order bunkers, and ripper drill sites are major activities found across Kairos. They all require some sort of environmental problem solving, but also a ton of combat, and in certain scenarios, there will even be a boss. Once the boss is defeated, you'll have access to the Encore system, which, as we've discussed, makes farming a breeze. Completing these activities also rewards the largest amount of SDUs, which are a currency you might be familiar with. In the menus, you can go to the SDU tab and invest this currency into upgrading the max ammo capacity of your weapons, or the number of slots in your backpack, bank, or lost loot machine. We highly recommend you invest in as many backpack upgrades as you can because, to put it plainly, the more spots you have, the more loot you can haul back to a vending machine and sell. After that, your focus should be on upgrading the ammo capacity of the weapon type you most use. This is essential for your progression, and chances are you won't get far without at least a few upgrades, so take the time to farm a couple SDUs before you wade knee-deep into the main story quest. These major activities are no joke, but they also reward you better than some of the smaller scale activities in the world, which is why it's not a bad idea to try and complete them as they pop up during your exploration. They're not as time-intensive as a side quest, but I'd argue the upside is far better in almost every scenario. While small, I think it's worth mentioning that throughout every zone in Borderlands 4 are a number of smaller activities, none of which are very complicated, but might be worth doing if you're directly in that area. Vault symbols can be found on the walls of various buildings and reward you with a small amount of SDU. Grab these whenever possible. Augur shrines are another easy interactable only found in the mountain biome. Honoring the shrine rewards you with some SDU. Survivalist caches and electee safes are also solid. These require next to no effort, minus actually locating them, but by interacting with them you get some SDU and a bunch of weapons. Handy if you're looking for a quick upgrade. Everything else, like the Evocarium, which is an environmental orb collection puzzle, or the Lost Capsule, which requires you to hold the item and run it back to a nearby base, just take too long, and while you don't need to go fast during progression, you do want to be efficient. If you want to have the perfect start in Borderlands 4, it boils down to something like this. First and foremost, pick a Vault Hunter you're going to have the most fun playing. I should mention that once you beat the game, any new Vault Hunter you create starts at level 30, which is amazing. Second, progress the main story until you get your Digirunner from the Outbounders. This opens up the entire world to you. As you explore, don't forget to unlock order silos and safe house locations, which act as important fast travel locations for you. Don't get distracted by side missions, there's really no value in doing them while you're leveling up, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Instead, complete major activities such as ancient crawlers, abandoned auger mines, order bunkers, and ripper drill sites. You earn loads of SDU for completing these, and will often fight a new boss. Farm these bosses if you're in need of new legendary gear. The new Moxxi Big Encore system can be utilized after any boss is defeated, and it's one of the best ways to score some new loot. Don't forget the little things either, like vault symbols and electee safes. Don't go out of your way to get these, but if they're there, it's an easy way to get SDUs, and more importantly, gear. Finally, and most important, push yourself to follow the main story quest. Beating the Timekeeper is just the next step in your journey as a Vault Hunter, with things like weekly activities, specializations, firmware, and more awaiting you in the endgame. So there you have it, everything you need to know to have the perfect start in Borderlands 4. As always, if you appreciate the work we put into all of our content and you want more Borderlands 4 in your feed, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. Don't forget, you can also join our community of over 15,000 members on Discord. Be the first to learn about new Legacy Gaming videos, talk about new games, and share tips and tricks with other Vault Hunters just like you. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.